Hello, and welcome to Book 3, Chapter 5, I think, of You Should Be Reading. Today, I would like to talk to you about Beyond the Pale by Mark Anthony. Now, Beyond the Pale is a fantasy series, sort of. It deals with a modern day Earth and a fantasy realm, both of which are connected together in rather interesting ways. It starts off the action in Castle City of Colorado, as well as Denver, Colorado, with our two main characters. One we have Travis Wilder. He is a saloon keeper in Castle City, and some strange things have been happening there. He's been noticing strange symbols carved into the wooden storefronts of several places. And one of his friends, a longtime friend that he's kind of grown attached to living there, knows more than he's letting on, and ends up giving him an iron box, I believe. Yes, an ornate iron box, telling him to kind of keep what's inside safe. And say hello to my little man up there on the shelf. He's keeping an eye on things. Uh, and he gets this strange mission, and these weird people, almost monsters in a way, trying to get him all of a sudden when he ends up stumbling through a doorway almost into this other realm. Then you have Grace Beckett. She is a doctor at the hospital in Denver City, Colorado, and ends up a man ends up getting brought into the ER and seems to be dead or extremely injured, and they try and take his pulse. Doesn't have a pulse. So she's like, all right, cut him open, gonna reach inside and massage his heart. When she does that, what she finds is in place of his heart is a lump of iron, which is like bizarre. And then shortly after that, this dead man, really? Really? You're going to knock that off on the ground in the middle of my video. Cats. But yes, where was I? Yes, this man that was pronounced dead, because no pulse, wasn't moving, ends up getting shipped to the morgue, ends up getting up again and attacking people, trying to kill her. She ends up killing him, I believe by using a defibrillator on him. Boom. And she ends up running into a strange trio of people uh, that kind of escort her to this other realm as well. And things kick off from there, with young Travis finding out that he is a rune speaker who can write and speak the runes and cause magic to happen. But as they find out, he is also dyslexic, which in this other realm they call a mirror writer. So he ends up, they find this out because he's learning to draw these runes and he writes one backwards. He writes the one for light, and instead of doing it the way he's supposed to, he does it backwards and he creates darkness because he's a mirror writer. It's something he has to keep an eye on. And the young lady, Grace, ends up getting rescued by a knight, a real life knight, who escorts her to safety. And they, all the people that see her, immediately assume she's a lady. She has to be someone of noble birth because she has that look about her. She has the nobility look to her. So she gets ingratiated into the nobility area, the nobility area of the castle. And there's darkness abound because there's an evil dark king who lives in the far north, and he's looking for the magic stones that he can use to bring about his resurrection. There's prophecy involved, and this is only the first book. There's actually 6 books in this series of the Last Rune series, it's called, and they go on from there. Different things happen. Sometimes they go back to Earth. Sometimes they jump back and forth a bit. There's a lot of things. There's a mysterious secret society involved on Earth side. There's other secret societies and mystery cults. Uh, One of the terms that they used to use in on Earth back in Rome days for certain paganish religions. So there's these mystery cults which deal with gods and goddesses and how they were all created. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Each book is about this size, as you can see, fairly fairly hefty reading, but it's really really good. I like it for several reasons. One of which is the way in that they bounce back and forth between the worlds. There's a lot of depth going on, a lot of hidden things to the storytelling that you can kind of gather just from reading uh, the first book. That there's more to this than meets the eye. There's also the wonderful backstory of this other world, which is called Eldh, Eldh. There's other gods, there's magic, all kinds of amazing things going on. There's literally at one point, not to spoil too much, but at one point there is a particular evil monster that they talk about being able to that devours everything. It's a devourer, and it is so powerful. Its hunger is so powerful that it will literally bend time around itself. And one of the characters from Earth is like, that sounds a lot like a black hole. So it's kind of got some physics and magic kind of being the same thing in a way, which I really quite like. But all of the stories, all 6 books are all connected together naturally. It's one big series, Mark Anthony, and it is well worth the read. It is some seriously good fantasy, as well as taking modern characters and throwing them into a fantasy world. Uh, Also of note is the um, quite interesting way in which it snuck up on me. It doesn't make it obvious right off the bat. I don't even think it's been a little while since I've read it, but I don't think even in the first book they come right out and say it either. Uh, I think it's kind of left for a later book, possibly the second or the third, in which you find it out. But um, our main character, Mr. Travis Wilder, happens to be gay, or possibly not exactly gay, possibly bisexual. Because I do believe he has slept with women. I don't know exactly how the character identifies with himself, but he ends up in a relationship with a another man in these books. And the way it happens, it's not some big deal. It's not something that's really thrown out there and like it should be a big deal. It's just treated as okay, this has happened. And I like that. I like that they've done that. That Mark Anthony has that Mark Anthony has done such and made it pretty much just a normal thing in his books because it should be simply a normal thing. At least that's what I think. So any of you out there who might be interested in some fantasy, some fairly good fantasy, this week you should be reading Book 1 of The Last Rune, Beyond the Pale by Mark Anthony. And I'll see you next week.